Shoorveer Chapter 1. On the edge of the mountain stream of the rocky stone, a black boy pressed a shell to reveal a metallic luster, long like a crab, and some like a horned beetle. The black-handed juvenile held the dagger in the other hand. Lesuo's self-concerned cut off the paw that the beetle was still struggling, and picked up the carapace to reveal the tender meat inside. There is hardly any hesitation. The black boy is like a crab. He the meat out of his claws and then throws it into his mouth together with a large piece of tender meat. He chews it a few times and swallows it directly. Hunting black beetles, not getting the soul of the beast, eating black beetle worms, can get 0 to 10 genes randomly. Eating black beetle worm, gene plus 0. The strange sound sounded in Hansen's mind, and a series of messages also appeared in his mind. Hansen, not evolution. Rank, none. Shouyuan, 200. The evolution of the gods requires 100 genes. Has the gene, 79 points of genes. Have the soul of the beast? No. There have been more than 30 black beetles that have not given me any more genes. It seems that I have eaten too many black beetle worms. The worms can no longer promote my physical evolution. Even a little gene has not been obtained. When I go down, I will be able to complete the first evolution and get the ranks. Hansen's face is depressed. Humans reached a very high level more than 100 years ago, and finally mastered the space transmission technology. However, when humans tried to transmit, they were shocked to find that they were not transmitted back to the past and were not transmitted to the future. It can't even be transmitted from one planet to another, and at the other end of the space transfer channel is a completely different world. A world completely beyond human imagination. In this world, all scientific and technological means have lost their functions. Submachine guns are not as useful as a steel knife in this world, various missiles and nuclear weapons cannot explode in this world, and there is no difference in the pile of scrap iron. All kinds of mechanical and electronic equipment are completely inoperable in this world. All kinds of horrible creatures are rampant in this world. The human beings who stood at the top of the food chain because of the power of wisdom and technology have become the weakest chickens at the bottom of the food chain. However, when human beings in this world killed some relatively weak creatures and ate their flesh and blood, they were surprised to find that their flesh had undergone earth-shaking changes and evolved in a way that science could not explain. What is more surprising to humans is that in this world, as the body evolves, their lifespan increases, and this discovery shocks the entire human race. In the next 100 years, more and more human beings have entered this world, which humans call the sanctuary of God, gradually becoming familiar with the rules of the world, hunting and preying on the world's creatures, and evolving their flesh. The higher the degree of physical evolution, the longer the lifespan. In theory, if you can continue to evolve, it is not impossible to live forever. In this world, the means of science and technology have been completely useless. The only thing that can help human beings is the most primitive fighting skills. The ancient martial arts that had been completely degraded in modern society have played an unexpected role in this world. Effect. Various ancient martial arts have been redeveloped, and after more than 100 years of inheritance and development, a new martial school has been formed, and various new ancient martial arts have also emerged. In addition to the ancient martial arts, there is also a kind of power in the sanctuary of the gods that gives great help to human beings, that is, the soul of the beast. Hunting the creatures of the sanctuary of God has a certain chance to acquire the beast of the creature. The beast is used by humans. Its form is strange. Some beasts can be directly summoned to fight for humans. Some beasts can be turned into objects such as armor weapons. In addition, some beasts can even help humans transform, let humans change into horrible behemoths, or birds flying between heaven and earth, or insect ants that can penetrate into the ground. Whether it is ancient Wu or the soul of the beast, there is not much relationship with Hansen. Even in the scientific and technological society, advanced science and technology are in the hands of a few people. Hansen completed the integrated compulsory education and graduated into the sanctuary of the gods at the age of 16. He learned all the entry-level new ancient martial arts that everyone in this era would have. As for the soul of the beast, it is expensive, even if it is the lowest order beast soul. It is not a poor and white Hansen can buy. Without strong ancient martial arts, without the help of the beast soul, or even the high alloy weapons of the human system, Hansen is struggling in the sanctuary of the gods. He can only hunt down some low-level creatures and eat his flesh and blood to evolve his flesh. However, the low-order flesh and blood eat more, and the effect on the physical evolution is getting lower and lower, so that Hansen has entered the sanctuary of God for more than 3 months, still unable to complete a physical evolution. Hansen didn't try to hunt and kill some powerful creatures, but even the weakest primitive bio-bone beasts almost wanted Hansen's life, and let him rest for nearly a month to return to the sanctuary of God. Now Hansen has eaten almost all the low-level creatures he can hunt nearby. It is no use to eat their flesh and blood. If you don't venture to hunt high-level creatures, you don't know what year and month to go. Make the body evolve. While Hansen was considering whether to try again to hunt the copper beast, the corner of his eye suddenly saw something coming out of the stream in the mountains. Hansen originally thought it was a black beetle, but immediately felt that something was wrong. The black beetle was a black shell, but what he saw in his eyes was a dazzling golden yellow. Hansen stared at the things crawling out of the stream, but it was really a black beetle, but this black beetle is somewhat different from the ordinary black beetle. The body is as big as a basketball, and it presents a golden color, like a piece of art carved from gold, especially a pair of eyes, seems to be crystal clear crystal. If you don't look carefully, you won't find it to be a living thing. How is this black beetle so strange? Hansen stared at the black beetle, which seemed to be carved in gold. During this time, he didn't know how many black beetles were hunted. He couldn't understand the black beetle. The black beetle had poor eyesight, but the hearing was very sensitive. As long as it stayed still, even the black beetle could not discover his existence. Hansen stared at the weird golden black beetle, but did not want the golden black beetle to climb over to him. I almost didn't want to. When the golden black beetle climbed to Hansen, Hansen held the golden black beetle's back shell with lightning, and the dagger in the other hand skillfully cut into its fragile joints. Staggered 6 times, as if the clouds were flowing, the 6 claws of the golden black beetle were cut cleanly. Then, as the golden black beetle struggled to turn over, a knife smashed into a white mark under the abdomen, stirring the dagger, and the golden black beetle suddenly did not move. Hunt the blood black beetle of the gods, get the soul of the black blood beetle of the blood, eat the flesh and blood of the blood black beetle, and randomly get 0 to 10 genes. Hansen was shocked by the sudden sound in his mind, and he could hardly believe that it was true. God blood level creatures, God level souls, can hardly believe. The creatures in the sanctuary of God are divided into 4 kinds of common creatures: primitive creatures, mutant creatures, and blood creatures. They can eat different grades of genes by eating flesh and blood of different order organisms. At present, there are 4 shelter spaces found by human beings. Each time the body is evolved, it can enter the next space. The stronger the gene used in evolution, the higher the possibility of survival in the next space. Needless to say, the blood of the beast soul can be said to be the best of the beast soul. Just of blood and soul can sell the price. After Hansen reacted, he almost grasped the dagger with a trembling hand, picked up the back shell of the blood black beetle, and cut the tender meat, which was like a jelly, and cut it into the mouth. Eat the blood of the black blood beetle and get a little gene. Feeling the heat flow after the flesh and blood swallowed, and then heard the sound of the sound in my mind, almost tears moved. I can't take care of the others. I grabbed the claws of the blood black beetle, sucked the shredded pork inside, and swallowed all the brain into the abdomen. I only felt a burst of heat flowing through the whole body, and the whole body's blood was almost boiling. Woke up. There is not much difference between eating black blood beetles and eating crabs. After sucking the meat out of the 6 claws, Hansen cuts the meat inside the carapace with a knife. Eat the blood of the black blood beetle and get a little gene. Eat the blood of the black blood beetle and get a little gene. The continuous strange sounds sounded in Hansen's mind, making Hansen's happiness almost like floating in the clouds. Hansen was happy with a knife and a knife. The dagger in his hand suddenly made a sound. It seemed to be cut on something hard, and the sound of a metal impact made Hansen stunned. The black beetle is similar to the crab. It looks very hard, but the inside of the shell is tender meat, and there are no bones. How can there be metal? Remove the dagger, follow the mouth cut out of the dagger, pull the meat aside, and see that there is a horn of black metal inside. Hansen cuts the surrounding meat, and the ferrous metal is completely exposed. Hansen had thought it was a metal, but after all it was peeled off, it was discovered that it was a black crystal of the size and shape of a pigeon. Hansen pinched the crystal in his hand and didn't feel anything different, like a beautiful round black pebbles. However, taking a close look at the front of the eye, it seems that there is a looming evolution of hundreds of millions of stars in the crystal, beautiful and incredible. This is the lowest level of the sanctuary of the gods, not to mention the blood-level creatures. Even the primitive creatures are rare. How can a black blood beetle suddenly appear and I have never heard of it? Black beetle, a creature that does not flow at all, and the same kind of blood-like creatures, and this blood-level black beetle is too weak. Is this black blood beetle appearing, and this black? What is the relationship between the crystals? Hansen secretly thought. However, I couldn't think of a clue at the moment. Hansen swallowed the rest of the blood black beetle, and the stomach that was eaten was almost ruined. He got a total of 7 points. Gene. The 7-point gene. In the past, Hansen did not even think about it. With his origins, even if you work hard, it is difficult to defeat the blood-level creatures, let alone the blood level. Even the original level must be excused life to fight. The chances of successful hunting are still low. The shell of the remaining blood black beetle is also a very precious material. Hansen smashed his claws and stuffed them into the pocket with the upper and lower shells. The common black beetle's shell has almost no value, but the blood black beetle shell, even if it is turned back to cook soup, drink, should be able to grow up 1 or 2 points of God gene. Hansen was the first to eat the blood-level creatures. It should be said that it should be full of 10 genes. After eating the meat, it only got 7 points. The remaining 3 points are in this shell. If you take this shell to sell money, I am afraid that the money sold will be enough to buy a fairly good private aircraft in the L-Star Alliance. Back to the steel armor shelter, walking on the street, people are pointing at him everywhere, gloating, there are ridicules, but no one is close to Hansen. Everyone in the steel armor shelter looks like Hansen watching the monster. Originally, ordinary people enter the shelter, even if they are poor and white, as long as they are not too bad, find a few newcomers to go along with, and it is not a problem to hunt down some of the original creatures that have been placed, nor will they be as miserable as Hansen. However, in the entire steel nail shelter, no one is willing or courageous to have a relationship with Hansen. More than 3 months ago, Hansen entered the world of the sanctuary for the first time. The first time he walked out of the shelter, he just walked through the corner of a city wall. He was shocked to find that there was a whole body in front of him. A horned wolf that is taller than a man, standing back to him. There was hardly any hesitation, and Hansen grabbed the dagger and smashed into the unicorn's ass. This embarrassment let Hansen and Qin Lan together become the biggest laughing stock of the entire steel armor shelter. That's right, the one-horned white wolf is not a stranger. Like Hansen, it is a human being who used the beast to transform. Moreover, Qin Lan is still the most powerful woman in the steel armor shelter, a woman who is likely to complete the first evolution with the blood gene, and thus embark on the path of evolution. A hairy boy who first entered the steel nail shelter smashed Qin's ass, which became the biggest joke of the entire steel nail shelter. Although in the face of Qin Lan, no one dared to mention this, but in the back, everyone is going to have a cramp. Ass madness became Hansen's nickname in the steel armor shelter. Qin Yan, who is angry, puts down the swear words. Whoever dares to be with Hansen is the enemy of her Qin dynasty. In the steel armor shelter, there are not many people who have the ability to be enemies with Qin Yu. Even if they have this ability, no one will be an enemy of Hansen's unfamiliar but madness and Qin. Therefore, Hansen will be so miserable, but Hansen does not complain to Qin. This is his fault. The first time he entered the world of shelter, it was too nervous, and he had never seen a different creature and changed his body. Human beings will make such unforgivable mistakes. Qin Lan did not kill him under anger. Hansen has been very grateful. Hansen's only gratification is that human beings have entered the world of the sanctuary of God. They are randomly and uncontrollable. There is no relatives and friends in the steel shelter, and no one knows his real name. Hansen returned to his room, gave birth to a fire, poured a pot of water, and threw the claws and shells of the blood-black beetle into it. Now Hansen has no tools and no other methods. He can only use this most primitive method to deal with the carapace of the blood-black beetle, and cook the genetic essence inside. The blood-level carapace is not able to cook the essence in an hour or two. After Hansen puts on the lid, he takes out the black crystal and watches it carefully. But it seems that I can't see any clues. Suddenly, Hansen's gaze saw a civet-sized green scale beast in the corner cage of the room, and his heart moved slightly. Green scale beasts, like black beetles, are common creatures. Hansen has been preying on green scale beasts and brought them back to cook to increase their genes. However, after the green scale beast had eaten more, the gene was no longer added. The rest of Hansen was lazy to eat again. He stayed there and forgot it. He did not expect to be alive. From the cage, he grabbed the green scale beast that was dying. Hansen hesitated, and the black crystal in his hand was sent to the mouth of the green beast and was about to be stuffed. Who knows that the dying green beak saw the black crystal, and did not know where the power came from. He even opened his mouth and spit out a roll of his tongue. He simply rolled the black crystal into his mouth and slammed it into his stomach. This black spar is really amazing. Hansen looked stunned and found that after the green scales swallowed the black crystals, it seemed that the spirit was much better, and there was some strength in the body, and the four claws caught and turned and wanted to bite. Hansen grabbed the hand of his neck. Hansen threw the green scale beast into the cage and carefully watched the green scale beast. I saw that the green scale beast that had not been eaten for many days had completely recovered its vitality and smashed it in the cage, like Hansen. When I just got back from the wild, I was full of energy and wildness. Hansen was sitting across the cage and observing the movements of the green scale beast in the cage. There was a faint speculation in his heart. If the guess is true, maybe he really got something that is not a thing, more than a blood creature. Crazy stuff. However, Hansen is afraid that his own guess is wrong. He can only stare at the green beast, hoping to see the changes he desires from it. Hansen was too nervous, squinting and not knowing how long it was, until the scent of the bone soup was heard in the pot. He felt a hunger in the stomach, and the stomach was already uncomfortable. Looking at the time, it was almost 24 hours. Hansen quickly got up and went to see the black beetle shell inside the pot. Only the golden carapace had been stewed and turned into pale gold, and the soup was glowing. The bright golden luster, coupled with the scent of the nose, makes Hansen, who has long been in the belly, unable to swallow. I was about to take the bowl of soup, and suddenly I heard the sound of the broken iron bars in the cage of the green scale beast. Hansen quickly turned around and saw that the green scales had broken an iron bar in the cage. The head has been stretched out from the inside. The pale green scales of the original body itself turned into dark green at this time, and the teeth became sharp and sharp. The tips of the foreclaws were like iron hooks, which were to be drilled out of the cage. Hansen was shocked and happy. He pulled out the dagger inserted in his waist and rushed to the front of the cage in 2 steps. A knife stabbed into the lower abdomen of the green scale beast stuck in his head. He stirred a few times and the green scale beast was bursting. Struggling, then there is no movement. Hunting the original biological green scale beast, without acquiring the soul of the beast, eating the flesh of the original green scale beast, you can get 0 to 10 original genes. The strange sound rang in Hansen's mind, leaving Hansen to stay there. Original green scale beast, the original green scale beast. That crystal can really make these creatures evolve. Hansen was shocked by the great joy and did not know what to do. After a long time, Hansen suddenly jumped out, cut the belly of the green scale beast with a dagger, and smashed out the crystal of the size of the pigeon egg. He also took care of the belly on it and took it in his hand. 2 mouths, then wiped clean. It seems that the treasure is generally held in the hands. The blood black beetle is really because this crystal has become a blood level. If you continue to let the green beast evolve, can it also evolve into a blood level? Hansen barely dared think about it again, because that's too amazing. Hansen's excited hand holding the crystal was shaking, biting his tongue and screaming and discovering that it was not a dream. Excited for a while, Hansen carefully collected the crystals, and then drank the net of the stewed carapace soup in the pot, and gained a little blood gene, which made Hansen's blood gene reach 8. There are so many points. There is no way. Hansen has only the simplest tool. With this primitive method, it is impossible to completely squeeze out the genetic essence in the carapace. It is very good to be able to add a little blood gene. When Hansen remembered that he had hunted the blood black beetle, he also got a black beetle soul, and quickly went to see the information. Hansen, not evolution. Rank, none. Shouyuan, 200. The evolution of the gods requires 100 genes. Has the gene, 79 points gene, 8-point gene. Own soul, God blood black beetle. God blood black beetle beast soul, armor type. I don't know what the armor of the blood black beetle will look like, Hansen thought. Only a golden light and shadow flew out of the air. It was the golden black beetle. I saw that the golden black beetle flew over Hansen's chest, and suddenly turned into a golden liquid and spread to Hansen's body. Just in a blink of an eye, Hansen's entire body was wrapped with hair. The streamlined gold armor, full of explosive power and impact, envelopes Hansen's entire body, like the Gothic European armor with modern aerodynamics, which looks like art. The entire armor is full of strength and speed, and Hansen's entire body is said to be slender and majestic, as if the body is full of explosive power. And it flashed with metallic luster, like a gold-like carapace, and there was a solid texture in the gorgeous If it was a fierce look, there would be a few gold saints like the golden saints. The difference with the gold vestie is that this beastly armor wraps Hansen's head and body in it, only in the joints where there are some gaps between the armor and the black beetle itself. This is also the black beetle. The only weakness of the armor of the beast. Hansen had a little activity. Not only did he feel that he was not burdened or obstructed, but he felt that his body seemed to be lighter and his body was full of vitality. It's not the armor of the blood-level beast spirit. It's more often seen in the steel shelters. The armor of the original level beasts is gorgeous. I don't know how many times. Hansen's heart is ecstatic, before he saw that some of the armor who was wearing the original beast spirit had envied it. He never thought that one day, he could get a god-level soul armor. Zhao Yelong, the president of Yate Group, completed the third evolution and was promoted to the shelter of the fourth god. He became the 83rd human being in the space of the fourth god's sanctuary in human history. The Shaoyuan reached 500 and gained the demigod level. Recode Galaxy Genius Juvenile Lang, with 100 mutated gene promoted to the space of the second god's shelter, Shaoyuan reached 300, obtained the evolutionary rank. Member of the House of Lords Hemingway, who hunted the ocean star of the demigod of the gods, became the first strong person to hunt down the gods of the gods. According to authoritative experts, humans will appear in the first 4 evolutions in 10 years, and advance into the shelter of the fifth god. Hansen was sent out from the steel armor shelter, and today's news is playing on the virtual screen. Evolution, transcendence, demigod, with that black crystal, I will be able to go that step, even go further. Hansen clenched his fist and strode off the transfer station and took the maglev train. Going in the direction of your own home. Just arrived at the door of the house, but before entering the yard, I heard a bitter and mean woman voice. Russell Lan, do you want to occupy the old house of our Korean family? I can tell you, this house is left by our parents. I have a share with my older brother and 2 brothers. Now my big brother is gone, we are Han. The family will not bully you a widow. The one of the big brothers will be given to you, but if you want to monopolize, we will never agree. Yes, the old house is the legacy of the parents. We all have a share of the children. Because of what your family is monopolized, you have lived for more than 20 years. It is already a big bargain. It is time. The score is a legacy. The voice of a middle-aged man came along. The second brother said, yes, you have occupied the old house for more than 20 years, we will not count the rent, but this old house is a legacy, it must score. A man who is a little whispered, very feminine, followed. We have already found a lawyer to estimate, this old house is now worth more than 3 million, we are 3, even if the family is 1 million, you will give us 1 million, and this old house is yours. Or we will sell this old house, and the 3 of us will divide the money into 1 point. How can we do it, and what do you do when you say what to do? It is the voice of a young woman. The second brother said, yes, now the big brother is gone, we are not bullying your orphans and widows, we are all with you, you give money when you say money, you say that selling houses will sell houses, we don't care. The first bitter and mean the woman voice said again. Second brother and 3 sisters, it is useless to force me. You don't know the situation in our family. Where do you get 2 million? Said a sad woman. Then sell the house. The bitter woman immediately said the interface. The house is sold, where do we live? Hansen has just graduated, and the child should go to school immediately. Said the sad woman. Duh, you are not right when you say this. Is it only your family's difficulties? Your family Hansen and Hanwei are just reading the integrated compulsory education. Our family Hanhao is a private school. Every year, the tuition fees let me I have white hair. The three sisters said that everyone has had a hard time, who is not short of money. Is it not right to sell a house? Everyone has taken the money to do things well, and you have money to study for it. The man said. Anyway, you either give us money, or sell a house, yell at yourself. The young woman said indifferently. Hansen was furious outside, and opened the door. He saw his mother holding her sister Hung's tears, and the 5-year-old sister Hanyu was afraid of shrinking in her mother's arms, small face and big eyes. Full of fear, next to them, there are 2 men and 2 women, all with a cold smile on their faces. Do you still have a face to run here to get an old house? Hansen pointed at a fat woman with a sloppy face. Aunt, you used to do finances in the company, and made tens of millions of bad debts. Who is it? Cried and asked my dad to help her make up. Hansen, nonsense, whoever makes a bad debt, you don't want to smother the blood. The thin man of the soft voice shouted at Hansen. And you, my uncle, misappropriation of the company's public funds to invest, and finally lost a few million, who is running to my house, screaming for my dad to help him. Hansen pointed to the voice soft and thin middle-aged man's airway. Uncle, you owe a gambling debt, and you almost jumped off the building. Who helped you? You are outside, you are almost hacked, and who is spending money to save you life? Hansen pointed to another middle-aged man with a big belly. Xingya Group wants to annex our company. My dad is not going to make a fuss for everyone and Xingya Company. How can he die? Hansen glanced at 4 people, but you when I am good, my dad is just dead here. If you don't even come to the funeral, you will go and sell the company to the Xingya Group. Do you have any money for the orphans and widows? When I got married, who bought the house? Is it cheaper than the old house when your grandparents were alive? Did you take care of the day? Now you still have a face to divide the old house. Don't talk nonsense, it's all big brothers. They are arbitrarily. The company is left by the father. Why do you say that the company alone has a share? We should also spend money on the company. Lei said hard to the scalp. The second brother said that it is true that your father is holding the company. We just take back the money that belongs to us. Anyway, even if you say that it is useless, you can either sell the house or sell the house. Choose one, otherwise we will see in court that where the lawsuit is hit, you are all lost. And Han Yumei shouted with a scorpion. That is, your father's fault. Several people accused Hansen of having died. Hansen was trembling with anger, and his heart was not worthwhile for his father. When Dad took over the company, it was just a small company with a market value of 1 or 2 million. It worked hard step by step to grow and develop, but every time I wiped for myself, and the company almost went out of business because of the lack of surroundings. Finally, the company's death was unclear. After the death, it fell so badly that even his wife and children would have to be seen by this group of white-eyed wolves. Bully. In the past, Hansen's father always said that he was a family member. There is no need to care about it. Now it seems that it is a great irony. If their family really lacks money, there is something that can't be done, Hansen also recognizes. But looking at the private aircraft they came from, which one is not a million items, the company's money was at least 100 million, and all of them fell into their pockets, and none of them were distributed to Hansen. They are orphans and widows, how can they lack money, and there is no way even 1 million.